All right, another scale hive video. Today is May 27th. Our yellow hive weighs 79.5 pounds. And our green hive weighs 83 pounds now. So these bees definitely are bringing in honey and nectar, gaining weight. Let's dig into them now. Okay, I'm making this video with one task in mind, and that is swarm prevention. And I'm sort of doing this because there was some comments in the last video. You guys would really like to see what's going on, what my methods are when I try to prevent swarming. So I'll go through that today. These bees are really bringing in honey. I can see they've made a lot of new wax here. Ooh, stuck things down. There's a lot of honey in here now. So that looks really good. So I'll go through my typical swarm prevention methods. Crack off this super. So my methods are really simple, nothing too complicated. You know, I saw comments about things like creating artificial swarms, and I mean, I don't really do anything complicated like that. I'm simply looking for all the queen cells that they may be raising, shaking the bees off of every frame to do a good inspection, cutting those down, and giving the bees more space. So since I'm going to be shaking bees off of all the frames, I have to find the queen. Find my queen, and then I'll shake every frame, at least with brood, and look for queen cells. Okay, I've got my queen here. She walked down to the bottom of the frame. That actually took me a couple minutes because I must have overlooked her on the first time. I had to go back and forth through the box. So that happens sometimes. But found her now. Put her safely in a cage. And now I actually, just shake bees off of every frame. Now I prefer to shake them right into the brood box. Some people I've seen would actually prefer to shake them out front of the hive and force them all to walk back in, but I don't do that. You can if you want. So I may as well start right from the outside, where I think there is some brood right on this outside frame. It's a quick shake, and then you look. So here I've got a queen cup, but there's nothing in it. And I just look for everything like that and tear them all down. This, nothing there, just drone brood on the bottom. Put it back in. And you can give yourself lots of space in the brood chamber. See, I have 2 frames out. Like this. Here's another cup. Nothing in it. Nothing in that one. So just because they're making cups doesn't mean that they're considering swarming anytime soon. It's something that pretty much all colonies will do, make those queen cups. But it's not necessarily an indication of swarming. It's only when the queen lays an egg in them that they may be starting with swarming. So nothing in that one. Keep moving. Now this frame has a lot of drone brood on the bottom. A queen cup here with nothing in it. Okay, I have 1 queen cup with an egg in it, and I'm going to try and show you. I'll set this aside, I'll finish shaking, and I'll show you that close up of 1 egg in a cell. So here's the cell broken open from the side, and you can see the 1 little egg down on the very bottom of that cell. So when you shake all the bees off your frames, it can also be a good time to clean up your frames a little bit so you have lots of space. I just noticed another queen cup here right up on the top. There's nothing in that either. Okay, that will gently go right back in. So because I did find one cell with an egg in it, and I know the bees are bringing in lots of honey right now, I am actually going to add another super to this colony. Like I said before, usually when I'm using these medium depth supers, I'll add 2 right away. There's really no reason not to this time of year. I just thought it was easier for the videos if I was adding 1 at a time. Queen excluder back on. Okay, and our next super, I'm putting it right on top of the queen excluder, and I'll put the one they've already been working on top of this. Perfect. Green hive, exact same situation. We're going to find the queen and shake every frame. Same thing, I can see them really working up here. That looks great. A few frames getting full with honey. Okay, this was easy. The second frame that I looked at has our queen right here. She's marked yellow, and she's actually on that new frame that I added a couple weeks ago, really making sure that's laid full with eggs. So I'll cage her. If a frame is 100% honey or pollen, I guess you really don't have to shake it. But as long as you're 100% sure, it's probably just a better idea to shake every frame as you go. Okay, so I've got lots of space in the brood box. I'm going to go through and shake every frame and show you what I find. I'll use a bit of smoke here to start us. Nothing. What's that? That's just a cup with nothing in it. Nothing there. Nothing there. So the fact that I'm finding cups, or in that case that one cell at a really early stage, as in just eggs, is a good sign. And that's why I really only have to do things like shake the bees and add more space. I really don't have to take any extra measures because they're in such the early stages of swarming. If I was finding queen cells that were actually capped over and fully developing into new queens, then I know they're a little bit closer to swarming. And in that case, that's when you may want to do things like pulling a nuke out of it or something different like that. So this frame I actually have, what's going on here? That's drone. There's nothing in that one. This one has an egg in it. Has drawn out as new as it looks here. That just has one egg. What's this one? There's a bee attending to that one. That one has a young larva in it. So I'll save this. We'll get a close-up. I can see royal jelly in there. We'll have a look at that one. It's really young, but it's a larva nonetheless. Okay, and that's just, wow, a full frame of pollen on the outside. Okay, so I found one frame. It had 2 cells, one that just has an egg and one actually has a developing larvae in it. Okay, this is tricky to see. I actually had to bust down the cell walls of this queen cell to see, but you can tell there's a lot of royal jelly in there, and there actually is a little larva. To me, that looks like the youngest possible larva is in it. Almost looks like an egg still, but it's clearly laid down, and yeah, I think that's sort of the youngest larva that you're really ever going to see. But that's okay, it's still early stages, and I've done everything that I want to do right now. I can put these frames back in order. You know, this is really simple management to deter them from swarming, but of course you can go much further than this. You know, I read a lot. I've read all of the books by Brother Adam. He was the monk at Buckfast Abbey, famous for coming up with the Buckfast breeding system. And he brought to his operation and tested bees from all over the world for all sorts of different traits to try and find out, you know, what would be the most advantageous to his honey production and hopefully disease resistance, things like that in England. And he said that when they would get really swarmy varieties of bees that were really prone to swarming for a large portion of their summer, he would actually cage the queen inside the colony, leave her in the cage so she couldn't lay eggs for 7 days at what he figured was the height of their swarming season. So he would go to big lengths to manage against swarming. And I'm going to a small length here, but if this progressed any further, then I would go to much larger lengths. Now, just because they showed eggs in cells this week doesn't mean they will next week. Sometimes something as simple as this stops them from doing it. That's why during the swarming season, I try and check all my colonies at least every 10 days. On a 10-day cycle, you can generally get to them quickly enough that they haven't started raising cells beyond much of what we've seen here, and just simple actions can prevent them from swarming. But if you wait too long, if you're 2 or 2.5 weeks between your visits, then they can easily take those queen cells right to their fully developed stage, and that's when you can start losing swarms. And you'll know if you're getting closer to that stage because your queen that's in there actually stops laying before she swarms, right? So I know these queens have been laying just fine, uninterrupted. There's no shortage of eggs in these colonies, so they're not even close to the point where they're going to be swarming yet. Okay, last thing with our second supers added, we need to check these weights. I think they'll still be under 100 pounds. Yep. Our yellow hive now weighs 92 pounds. We're getting close to that 100 mark. And our green hive weighs 97 pounds now. So, anyway, that's it for this video, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.